Hello everyone, welcome to the Inner Awakening channel. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still feel empty inside? Like you're constantly moving, achieving, pushing, but something within you remains unsatisfied, unheard, unseen? If so, you're not alone. There's a silent pressure that many of us live with, an invisible force that drives our choices, shapes our identities, and often pulls us further away from who we truly are. It doesn't always show up as pain. Sometimes it hides behind success. It hides in the smiles we wear at work, in the goals we chase, in the version of ourselves we've crafted to be accepted, admired, even loved. But underneath all that, there's often a quiet voice asking, is this really me? Is this what I want, or what I was told to want? This video is not about quick fixes. It's not about blaming your past or shaming your present. It's about pausing and looking gently within. It's about peeling back the layers of expectation, comparison, and unconscious pressure, and beginning to reconnect with the part of you that has always been there, your real self. To begin, we'll explore a powerful metaphor. Imagine your inner world as a tree. Every thought, emotion, and decision is like water that feeds its roots. Some of that water comes from love. Some comes from fear. And over time, without even realizing it, we end up nurturing two very different sides of ourselves, one that's alive, thriving, and true, and one that's burdened by pressure, guilt, and silent exhaustion. In this journey, we'll trace those roots. We'll examine the unseen forces shaping your life, and we'll gently ask, what have you been watering all this time? Because if you ever felt lost in a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels disconnected within, this might be the invitation you didn't know you needed. You're not broken. You're just buried. Let's begin the journey back to yourself. Part 1. The tree of inner pressure. What are we really nurturing? Imagine life as a tree. Not just any tree, but one that you, consciously or unconsciously, water every day. Each drop of energy you give it becomes a part of its roots, its trunk, its leaves, and its fruits. Now, imagine standing back and seeing that half of this tree is green and fruitful, while the other half is withered, dark, and tangled in knots. What went wrong? This tree is you, and this split inside reflects a quiet conflict many of us live with, the side that grows from love and the side that grows from pressure. Let's begin today's journey by looking at a powerful image. A young person waters a tree. At first glance, it looks healthy. Leaves sprouting, fruits hanging. But as we trace the tree from its roots, we begin to see the truth. On one side, the roots are labeled with words like repaying gratitude, life pressure, work pressure, the need to succeed, dreams. These are powerful forces. Some are positive in intention. Wanting to repay our parents, having dreams, or seeking success can be beautiful motivators. But what happens when they stop being motivations and start becoming burdens? When these ideas become non-negotiable expectations, they harden. They twist the roots of pressure. How they begin. Let's take repaying gratitude, a deeply cultural and emotional concept. In many Eastern societies, especially in places like Vietnam, China, and Japan, children grow up with the belief that they owe everything to their parents. And while gratitude is a beautiful emotion, it can quietly transform into guilt and duty. You don't study hard because you're curious. You study because you must succeed to make your parents proud. You don't follow your passion. You choose a safe path because your parents worked so hard for your education. You don't rest. You keep pushing because the stop feels like betrayal. This turns a beautiful emotion into emotional bondage. It stops being a choice and starts becoming a chain. Life pressure is broader. It includes financial stress, social expectations, and even silent comparisons to peers. Social media amplifies this. You see someone your age traveling the world, launching a business, or buying a house, and suddenly, your ordinary life feels like failure. Work pressure follows. You're expected to always be productive, always reachable, always advancing. Rest becomes guilt. Stillness becomes laziness. You might find yourself checking emails at midnight, not because you love your job, but because you're terrified of being seen as lazy or replaceable. And then there's a need to succeed, a double-edged sword. We live in a society that praises winners. From school rankings to Instagram followers, success is measured, displayed, and worshipped. But when we make success a requirement rather than a possibility, we attach our worth to it. If you succeed, you're valuable. If you fail, you feel like nothing. Even dreams, which should be the most life-affirming part of this tree, can become a form of pressure. When your dream turns into a rigid goal you must achieve, it can suffocate you. You stop enjoying the journey and become obsessed with the outcome. What grows from these roots? As the tree grows, we begin to see its effects above ground. On the right side of the tree, where pressure has shaped the roots, the branches are brittle, the leaves are sparse, the fruit is small, sometimes missing entirely. And in the center of the trunk, your inner self, there's a face. One side is vibrant and smiling. The other side is tired, worn, and expressionless. This symbolizes what many people feel but don't say out loud. I'm doing everything right, but I'm not happy. You build a life others admire, but inside, you feel empty. You're achieving but not living. This is the silent cost of pressure-driven growth. The other side of the tree, a glimpse of balance. But not all is lost. On the other side of the tree, something else is happening, where the water reaches gently, where love and self-awareness nourish the roots. Something better grows. The branches are fuller. The leaves dance in the wind. The fruits are bright and abundant. This side grows not from pressure, but from purpose. This is a life you build when you're connected to yourself. When you act not out of fear or guilt, but from understanding and care. When your dreams are rooted in your truth, not in proving something to others. It's still hard. It still requires effort. But the energy is different. It's sustainable. It's alive. The watering can. Your choices matter. At the bottom of the image, two people are watering the tree. They symbolize action, your action. Every day, you choose which side of your inner tree to water. Are you watering the side of guilt, comparison, and fear? Or are you watering the side of love, curiosity, and conscious growth? This is not about judgment. It's about awareness. When you realize that you're not just living life, but shaping it, every moment becomes powerful. In the next section, we'll explore where this pressure actually comes from and how, like Carl Jung said, the unconscious becomes destiny only when we let it remain unconscious. But now, ask yourself, what have I been watering lately? Part 2. The Silent Sculptors. Where does all this pressure come from? Let's begin this part with a moment of honesty. Have you ever sat alone in your room with all the lights off and felt like you're drowning under a weight no one else sees? That invisible weight? It's pressure. But where does it come from? Pressure doesn't just fall out of the sky. It's sculpted slowly and silently by the people we love, the culture we grow up in, and the experiences that mark us. Like waves wearing down a cliffside, these forces shape who we believe we have to be. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That means this pressure we feel isn't random. It's deeply embedded in our psychology. It starts when we're children. A parent says, "You should be more like your brother." A teacher says, "You'll never succeed if you keep being so slow." A friend says, "You're too emotional." They don't mean to hurt us, but we internalize those words. And from there, a belief is born: I have to be perfect to be loved. I must always be strong. If I fail, I'm worthless. These beliefs become bricks in the walls we build inside ourselves. We start hiding parts of who we are, our softness, our playfulness, our doubts. Because the world told us those parts weren't good enough, we become performers. Smiling when we're exhausted, agreeing when we want to scream, winning when we're breaking. We chase goals not because they matter to us, but because we think they'll finally make us enough. And sometimes we don't even realize it. We think we want the degree, the job, the house. But if we strip away all the layers, we find something much more fragile underneath. The child who just wanted to be accepted. This is a tragedy of unconscious pressure. It wears our face but speaks someone else's voice. But here's the turning point. What if you could listen more closely? What if you could hear your own voice underneath all that noise? In the next part, we'll uncover how to do just that how to begin breaking the patterns, and finally come home to yourself. You were never meant to live a life of quiet suffocation. You were meant to grow in your own sunlight. Let's keep going. Part 3. The mirror in the fog. Learning to hear your own voice. Imagine standing in front of a mirror that's fogged up not just by steam, but by years of silence, expectation, and fear. You lean in, trying to see yourself. You wipe it again and again, but the fog keeps returning. That mirror is your inner world, and the voice you're trying to find. It's yours. We all have a voice inside. It's the voice that whispered your childhood dreams. The voice that told you something wasn't right, even when everyone else said it was. The voice that wanted rest, wanted freedom, wanted joy. But over time, that voice got quieter. Not because it was wrong, but because it was drowned out. By school, by parents, by culture, by fear. You started tuning into the voices that seemed louder, more confident, more correct. Be responsible. Make money first, then you can relax. Don't be selfish. Don't dream too big. These voices promise safety. But the cost was silence, the silence of your authentic self. So, how do we begin to hear that self again? We start with stillness and courage. Find a quiet space. Sit, breathe, and ask, what have I been pretending not to know? The answers might come slowly. They might come in tears. They might come in anger. That's okay. That's real. You're meeting the part of you that's been buried. Here's what you might hear. I'm tired of pretending to be okay. I want to write, not manage spreadsheets. I'm scared to disappoint my family, but this isn't my dream. These are not rebellious thoughts. These are truthful thoughts. Your real voice is not always loud, but it is honest. And when you start listening, even to the smallest whisper, it grows. Start writing down what you hear. Don't edit. Don't judge. Just write. Talk to people who make space for your truth, not those who shut it down. And most importantly, stop gaslighting yourself. If you feel unhappy, it matters. If you feel lost, it matters. You don't need a dramatic reason to reclaim your voice. You only need to believe that your voice is worth hearing. This is not a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice, but it's how you begin to replace pressure with presence. In the next section, we'll walk through how to take action from this new connection with yourself, how to live in alignment, not just survive in reaction, because now you're not just surviving the storm. You're learning to navigate it. Let's move forward. Part 4. Living from alignment, the path back to yourself. You've listened to your real voice. You've seen the fog start to clear. But what now? Now comes the hardest part, living in alignment with what you found. Because awareness alone isn't enough. If you hear your truth but keep living out your pressure, the pain only grows. Your heart knows you're betraying yourself. That's when exhaustion becomes despair. So what does it mean to live from alignment? It means your inner world and your outer actions start to match. It means you stop pretending, stop pleasing, stop performing, and start creating a life that reflects who you really are. Let's talk about how to do that, not in theory, but in reality. Step 1. Small, honest actions. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. Living from alignment starts small, one choice at a time. Saying no when you've always said yes. Choosing rest over one more task. Applying for the job that excites you, not just the one that looks good. Admitting, this path isn't working for me anymore. These small acts of truth begin to rebuild your relationship with yourself. When you choose truth, even when it's inconvenient, you send a message to your own soul. I'm listening now. I won't abandon you again. That's powerful. That's healing. Step 2. Redefining success. Living in alignment also means redefining success, not by society's scoreboard, but by your own values. Most people chase success without asking, why do I want this? Is it freedom, recognition, stability, a sense of purpose? You might find that what you really want isn't fame or wealth, but peace, creativity, connection. When you know your definition of success, you stop running someone else's race. You begin building a life that feels good, not just one that looks good. Ask yourself, what makes me feel most alive? What do I value more than approval? What would success look like if no one else was watching? Your answers may surprise you, but they'll also guide you. Step 3, facing fear with kindness. Let's be honest, living in alignment is scary. You will disappoint people. You might walk away from things you worked years to build. You might be misunderstood, judged, or even rejected. That's why so many people stay stuck. Not because they don't know what they want, but because they're afraid to claim it. Here's the truth. Fear doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is where truth lives. So be kind to yourself. Fear is part of this process. So is doubt. So is grief. You're not just changing your life. You're grieving an old self, a version of you built on pressure and performance. Let that version go with compassion. Thank it for helping you survive. Then gently close that chapter. You're writing a new one now. Step 4, boundaries are self-respect. To live from alignment, you'll need boundaries. Not just to protect your time, but to protect your energy, your dreams, your truth. That means saying, I can't take this on right now. I need time to think about that. This doesn't align with where I'm going. At first, this might feel selfish, especially if you were raised to please others. But boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about keeping your integrity in. When you honor your limits, you stay connected to your center. And from that center, you can give more freely because you're not giving from depletion. Step 5, surround yourself with alignment. No one walks this path alone. As you shift, your relationships will shift too. Some people will grow with you. Others won't. That's okay. Let go of those who only love the version of you that stays small. And make space for those who honor your truth, even when it changes. You need people who remind you of who you are, not who pressure you to go back to who you were. If you don't have those people yet, don't panic. Start by becoming that person for yourself. Be the safe space you've always needed. The one who listens. The one who believes. The one who stays. Step 6, embrace the ongoing journey. Finally, remember this. Living from alignment is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. Some days, you'll feel powerful and clear. Other days, you'll fall back into old patterns. That's part of it. The point isn't perfection. It's presence. Each day you ask, is this decision aligned with my truth? Am I moving from fear or from clarity? What would the most honest version of me do next? If you keep asking, keep listening, and keep choosing alignment, even when it's hard, you will reshape your life. Not into a perfect one, but into a real one. One that fits you. One that nourishes you. One where you can finally breathe. You were never broken. Let's end with this. You were never broken. You were just living in a world that rewarded the wrong things, and you forgot how to listen to your own soul. Now you remember. Now you're listening. Part 5. Becoming the light, living free and guiding others. You've come a long way. From the tangled roots of pressure, to the quiet recognition of your own voice, to the brave decision to live from alignment. Now comes the question, what does freedom really look like? Not just freedom from outer expectations, but freedom within, a life where you are no longer at war with yourself. A life where you no longer shrink, hustle, or pretend. A life that breathes with truth. This is the heart of real transformation. Not becoming someone new, but becoming fully who you've always been. Let's explore what that life looks like, and how, by living it, you help others find their way too. The landscape of inner freedom. When you live from truth, life doesn't become perfect, it becomes real. You may still face pressure from outside. Deadlines, bills, family opinions. The world doesn't stop expecting things from you. But something inside has shifted. You no longer betray yourself to meet those expectations. You no longer chase goals to earn love. You move with intention. You act from clarity. Here's how inner freedom often shows up. You say yes only when you mean it, and feel no guilt in saying no. You rest without justifying it. You follow curiosity, not just obligation. You stop proving. You start being. You begin to live a life that may not impress everyone, but finally feels like home to you. The power of authentic living. Authenticity is magnetic. When someone walks into a room with real presence, not performative confidence, but grounded authenticity, people notice. Not because they're loud, but because they're whole. When you live in alignment, people around you sense something different. You're not trying to control them. You're not trying to impress them. You're simply with them. This creates safety. You become someone others can exhale around, someone they can be real with. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. You start to guide others home without even trying. Not by preaching, not by fixing, just by being. You become a living invitation. It's safe to be yourself. I'm doing it and I'm still okay. From silent suffering to shared courage. Remember that foggy mirror from earlier? The one that hid your true reflection? Others are still trapped there. People you love, people you work with, people who smile in public and cry in private. They're still stuck in performance, still building lives on pressure, still trying to earn love by sacrificing who they are. They don't need advice. They need examples. They need to see someone who walked out fog and is living proof that there's something better on the other side. That someone can be you when you say, I left that job because it no longer aligned with me. I chose peace over perfection. I'm still figuring things out, but I finally feel honest. You give others permission to tell the truth. 2. This is how we change culture, not through force, but through truth, the ripple effect of inner work. We often think the world needs more effort, more speed, more productivity. But maybe what it really needs is healing. And healing doesn't always come from doing more. It comes from presence, compassion, wholeness. When you heal the war within yourself, you stop spreading that war to others. You become a parent who doesn't pass down pressure, a partner who doesn't demand perfection, a friend who holds space instead of judgment, a leader who inspires instead of controls. This is a quiet revolution of inner awakening. You might never get a trophy for it, but you will sleep deeper, love truer, breathe easier. And maybe one day someone will say, because of you, I stopped running. Because of you, I started listening to myself. Because of you, I came home. The journey never ends, and that's beautiful. You won't always feel aligned. Some days, the pressure will creep back in. Old fears will whisper. Old patterns will resurface. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Growth is not linear. Healing is not a checklist. You'll stumble. You'll forget. You'll fall back into performance. But now you'll notice, and you'll return faster. Because once you've tasted truth, you can't untaste it. Once you've heard your own voice, the noise never feels the same again. You've crossed a threshold, and while the road ahead is still winding, you're no longer walking blind. You're walking awake. A final word, the seed you carry. If there's one thing to take from this journey, let it be this. Your truth matters, even if it scares others. Even if it makes you the first in your family to walk a new path. Even if no one claps when you choose honesty over approval. Your truth is the seed of something sacred. Water it, protect it, live it, because the more you live from that place, the more others will believe it's possible for them too. And together, we begin to shift not just ourselves, but the world, one breath at a time, one honest word at a time, one aligned step at a time. So now take a moment, close your eyes, place a hand on your heart, and whisper to yourself, I'm free to be me. Let that be your beginning. Part 6. Returning to heart. Everyday practices for inner alignment. You've done something rare. You've walked through discomfort, faced invisible weight, met the hidden voice inside you, and dared to listen. This kind of journey changes a person. But here's the truth. Transformation doesn't end with realization. It begins there. What follows is the daily return, the quiet, steady practice of living from the inside out again and again until it's no longer effort, but embodiment. This final part of our journey is about integration, because a tree doesn't stay strong by growing once. It stays strong by staying rooted season after season. So How do you stay rooted in your truth? How do you protect the clarity you found from being washed away by the noise of the world? Let's explore 5 gentle, powerful practices that help you return to yourself, no matter how chaotic life becomes. 1. The pause, reclaiming space before reaction. The world moves fast. Emails, notifications, expectations. You're told to respond, decide, act now. But your truth lives in the pause. Start building a habit of pausing before you speak, before you decide, before you say yes out of pressure. In that brief silence, ask, is this coming from alignment or fear? Do I actually want this, or am I trying to prove something? Even 5 seconds of silence can reconnect you to yourself. This tiny space between stimulus and response, it's where your freedom lives. 2. Micro-honesty, speaking small truths every day. Big change often starts with small, honest moments. You don't have to make dramatic announcements. You can begin with this. Actually, I need more time. I'm not sure how I feel yet. I don't agree, but I respect you. That hurt me. These may seem simple, but they're revolutionary, especially if you've lived your life performing peace or perfection. Each time you speak a small truth, your nervous system learns. It's safe to be real. Over time, honesty becomes your default, not to harm, but to heal. 3. Self-compassion, holding your own hand through discomfort. You won't do this perfectly. No one does. There will be days when you slip back into old patterns. You say yes when you mean no. You stay quiet to keep the peace. You overwork to feel worthy again. That's okay. Instead of punishing yourself, pause and offer gentleness. Say something like, it makes sense I did that. It was an old reflex, but I see it now. I can choose differently next time. This rewires your inner system, not through shame, but through safety. Because real change doesn't come from force. It comes from trust. And trust is built every time you treat yourself like someone worth protecting. 4. Sacred solitude, creating time to hear yourself again. In a noisy world, solitude isn't selfish. It's spiritual. Whether it's 10 minutes in the morning, a walk without your phone, or an hour every Sunday, you need space where no one else's voice is louder than your own. In that space, ask, what do I need today? What am I avoiding? What would love do right now? Write it down, speak it aloud, or simply sit with it. This is how you keep the mirror clear. This is how you keep the fog from returning. 5. Aligned action, living what you know. All the clarity in the world means nothing without action. So start small. Choose one area of your life where you've been out of alignment, a project you no longer believe in, a relationship where you're not honest. You don't have to fix everything at once. But when you move with integrity, even in small steps, your life begins to feel like yours again. And that's the point, isn't it? To live a life that fits you from the inside out. Final reflections. This is the work of a lifetime. Let this be your reminder. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too late. You are exactly where your awakening begins. The world will try to pull you back into performance. It will reward your mask more than your truth. But now you know better. You've felt the cost of living from pressure, and you've tasted the peace of coming home. That awareness is your compass now. And even when you forget, even when you fall, you can always return to the pause, to the voice, to the truth inside you. And if you forget again, just breathe. When it all feels too loud, when doubt returns, when fear creeps in, close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart. And remember, I am not here to impress. I am here to express. I am not here to perform. I am here to be whole. This is your real work. This is your quiet revolution. And every day you choose to live it, you become the light someone else has been waiting to see. Which part of the tree do you see yourself in? Leave one thing you want to let go of today. If you found this video meaningful, please subscribe to Inner Awakening and share it with someone who needs inner light.